time the hour would go back in October, I used to find myself kind of feeling, you know, a little bit down in the dumps, not quite myself, not really full of energy. I always wanted to kind of jump on a plane and go somewhere hot, get a bit of sun, etc., etc. So after a while I researched and discovered I had SAD, which is seasonal affective disorder, and it affects 1 in 5 of us. I, for the first few years, just put up with it as something that you have to go through in winter, which you actually don't. So after a while I googled SAD lamp, and I found myself with a SAD lamp. I used that, and after about 5 or 6 days I suddenly noticed I was getting up in the mornings, much more energy, full of life, and back to the way I was in the summertime. 1 in 5 people are going through the winter going, oh, this is how you have to feel. There isn't enough information from the government on what to do if you have SAD. There's no actual government websites giving information about this. So it's down to people themselves to actually kind of go, right, I've got this, what do I do?
And Brian joins us now, as well as psychiatrist Professor Patricia Casey of UCD. A very good morning to you both.
Morning.
Brian, I'll start with you first. I suppose it's a condition that is not really kind of talked about a lot in the media. I mean, I don't know how much people know about it, and it happened to you in your early 30s, you were saying.
Yeah.
What type of reaction did you get from your friends when you said, look, I'm feeling down in the dumps, and they were like, well, look, aren't we all? You know, it's January or December. Or...
They'd say you're down in the dumps, but not quite. They wouldn't say, yes, we've SAD as well. I mean, I firmly believe that most people out there, to a certain extent, in the winter months do feel very different to the summer months. They feel they have less energy, they're more lethargic. When the alarm goes off in the morning, you want to stay in bed and don't really want to go out and socialise. And that's because when it's dark, your brain is producing melatonin, and that's the sleep hormone. So nature is saying, go asleep, go to your cave and hibernate, which we would have done back in the Stone Age. We'd all be in our caves now, but we can't, we have to go to work. So basically, you know, your brain is saying, go asleep and hibernate, but we can't, we have to go to work. So during the winter months, a lot of people are kind of going around in this semi-sleep state. And
is that what you were doing? Were you like
I was kind of,
forcing yourself out to work? Or
when the hour went back, I'd go, okay, I have to go to work, but I wasn't really that enthusiastic. I kind of lost my enthusiasm. I avoided social situations, you know, I just wanted to kind of like basically stay in and hibernate, basically. So I just decided one day, I think I'll do something about this.
So you did? But who told you about the lamp? Did a friend suggest it? Did you find it by accident?
Said to me jokingly one day, why don't you buy a SAD lamp? And I remember I sat down one day at my desk and Googled SAD lamp. And the SAD lamp arrived. It came in from Finland. I tried it out. And after about 5 or 6 days, I remember just going to work and actually suddenly realising, hold on, I actually feel good again. I feel the same way I do in the summer. I've got energy. I actually want to go out. I feel alive again. And that's because the bright light is saying to the brain, it's daytime, it's summertime again.
Well, okay, so how does it work? And, like, when do you use it?
Okay, people have a perception of a light box, and that's what they used to be back in the old days. It was a box you used to put your head into. That's the kind of people think of light box. They've moved on a huge amount since then. They're made over in Finland. They have various shapes and sizes. I mean, basically, you have it within arm's reach. You have it within line of sight. You don't have to stare into it. So you're at your computer, you're watching TV, the light is on beside the television, and the light's going into your eyes. It's a strong fluorescent bright light with a UV cover. And after a period of time, the brain is kind of going, excellent, it's summertime again. And it slows down the production of melatonin and increases the serotonin, which is the feel-good.
Okay, could I ask a question? Just the way you're describing that is giving me a headache. Because I'm thinking of a bright light beaming in on me that might kick a headache.
It's not like these lights.
Okay.
It's a very pleasant, there's a UV filter over it.
Okay.
So yes, it's a bright light, but it's not like those fluorescent shoes you used to have in the classroom or these ones. It's a strong bright light, but with a nice film over it. So you're getting the benefits of the bright light, but without going like this.
Yeah, okay. All right. There's a couple of different types of lights you can get.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. I mean, if you're waking up in the morning, you've got 20 minutes, and you're rushing to get to work and bring the kids to school, then you'd buy a very large Mesa, it's called. It's a very bright one, which basically you use for 20 minutes. If you have more time, you'd use one like the Rondo here, which you just put on for an hour. Or there's one you use in work, it's a twin kind of desk lamp, which to the untrained eye looks like a desk lamp, but it's actually a bright light therapy unit, and you can leave that on for 3 or 4 hours, and that's giving you the same treatment as the one that you put on for 20 minutes.
And would you need to use this lamp every day?
Yeah, it's best to use it every day. I mean, basically you start to use it, and you should use, say, the Rondo for, say, 45 minutes to an hour initially. Now, if you miss a day, it's not exactly, life or death. It's not going to suddenly mean that you feel sad again, but it's just best to kind of keep it up as you're going to go along.
And when winter rolls around, I mean, do you not start noticing yourself, oh God, I'm starting to feel a bit glum? Like, when does it start? Is it...
Well, with the climate the way it is these days, it's pretty hard to tell. I mean, remember the August before August was just gone. I actually got a pallet in because the website went crazy because it was just so bad.
Oh, really?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a joke.
No, it actually did. Basically, the hit started to come through. It was dark and it was wet and windy, so people were feeling sad. But in general, it's from when the hour goes back in October to, say, Valentine's Day. That's kind of like the sad season. That's when Finland ramp up to get ready. I mean, over in Finland, these things are like items you throw in your trolley. It's not unheard of to buy a sad lamp. You kind of go and you buy your toaster and you put your sad lamp in. Because over there, they have 3 or 4 hours of daylight. In Finland, they have coffee shops where you go and have your cappuccino, you get your light, and you go to work.
But very few people will actually admit to having seasonal affective disorder. There's still a stigma.
This is what I find surprising. I did the Ideal Home show and I had them all lined up, and some people were coming over and kind of going, what are those things over there? And then it's kind of like, are they sad lamps? And almost kind of whispering, which I find quite strange. But I think more and more it's becoming more accepted.
Well, it's because it's linked to depression. I mean,
that's the thing.
I mean, Dr. Casey, what is the difference between SAD and normal depression?
Well, the difference between them is that with SAD, it's confined to certain months of the year. And untreated, it begins in October, November, and in Ireland and in the Northern Hemisphere finishes around the end of March. Whereas with the other depressions, they can begin and end at any time and sometimes don't end. So even if somebody didn't take any treatment, either a lamp or medication, their moods would spontaneously improve by the end of March. The symptoms are also a bit different in that with SAD, people crave carbohydrates, so they often overeat and gain weight, unlike the other types of depression where people lose weight. So that's one of the big differences. Otherwise, the symptoms are the same. People tend to become withdrawn, they feel very low in mood, and they find it very difficult to go out to socialise and even to get to work. I think we have to be careful not to pathologise the sort of low mood that we all feel on a morning like this morning, rain, gloom, and it's dreadful and you want to stay in bed. SAD is much more pervasive and has a much more pervasive effect on people's lives, so that they just literally can't. Not only do they not want to function, but they actually can't function, can't go out and do the things they normally would do.
Dr. Casey, as a psychiatrist, what would you say is the best form of treatment for it? Antidepressants or lamps or a combination? Or
it depends very much on the individual, and I certainly use lamps and recommend lamps to some of my patients. It very much depends on the patient themselves and on their lifestyle to some extent. If one has a desk type of occupation, it's much easier to use the lamps. If, say, somebody is a manual worker who has to be up early, out, doing whatever, sitting by a lamp for 2 or 3 hours a day can be very difficult, and they prefer medication. So it's very much up to the individual. Sometimes people use a combination of both.